Hey, what's up, guys? Just a quick word before we get started today. We are opening applications for Sound School 5.0 on March 9th, 2020. So we know that a lot of you listening to the show are really serious about your English. You are really interested in improving your pronunciation and conversation. So now is the time to do it. A lot of you ask about price. Is this something that I can afford? And the answer is yes. We are not going to try to trick you with prices or anything. Prices start from 97 reais per month. You can pay in installments up to 12 times.
Ou seja, você pode parcelar em até 12 vezes.
Exactly. That's not really a thing that we do in the US, but we've made it possible for everyone in Brazil. So if you're interested in Sound School applications, March 9th, we're only accepting 30 students. So go do it. Oh, and we will get on with the show after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Inglês no Cru is brought to you by Cambly. Cambly is an online English learning platform.
So formal.
What? I think sometimes Cambly is perhaps a little angry at us because we make jokes and we're really informal, but that's the way we are. But today, let's try it a little differently. Once again, this episode of Inglês no Cru Rádio is brought to you by Cambly, an online English learning platform where you can learn English whenever, wherever you want. It is a very, very exceptional way to improve your English, and all you have to do is visit www.cambly.com and use the promotional code inglesnuecrupodcast to receive your first class for free, or you can simply download the Cambly application on your smartphone and use the promotional code inglesnuecrupodcast to get your first class for free. Okay, now we will begin the episode of the program. Hello, hey sweet people, and welcome to another episode of Inglês no Cru Rádio. We are coming to you live from the city park of Porto, Portugal. And as always, I am here with
Alexia. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing, Alexia?
Well, 21 degrees in the middle of February. This beautiful, sunny Sunday. I'm happy.
Yeah, 21 degrees Celsius, that is, which would be approximately 70 degrees Fahrenheit, perhaps?
I have no idea.
Yeah, beautiful day in February. Thank you, global warming. One of the few benefits.
Thank you, God.
Okay, so today I wanted to try to tell the story of Sound School. So, Alexia, you are going to have to help me with this because it's a long story, and I need your help to make sure I don't get too off track and I keep it relatively short.
Okay.
So where should we begin?
From the start. Where did you have this idea? From where?
Okay.
How?
So let's travel back in time to approximately 2014, 2015, perhaps? No?
I think it was 2015, 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever. I was in Brazil. I was in Rio de Janeiro. And first, I was there as part of my master's program, learning Portuguese, technically studying international business, but not really focusing on that. And
I wonder why.
Yeah. So, anyway, long story short, I finished my master's degree in the U.S., decided, okay, definitely do not want to work in a corporate job or in a more corporate position. So I returned to Brazil, and I had to make some money. So I decided to do one of the only things that I know how to do, which is teach languages. So I started teaching private English classes everywhere in Rio de Janeiro. And it was really fun, but really hard work because I was traveling all around the city every day. But the important thing is I was seeing the exact same issues, the exact same difficulties, the same mistakes with all of my students. And all of my students were having issues with pronunciation. Does that make sense so far, Alexia?
Yes, because I remember this phase of your life.
Yeah.
That you were walking all around Rio. You wanted to do that. You didn't want to grab like a bus or metro.
Yeah. So I was walking around Rio, giving a lot of private classes, and there was a big difference in between what students were saying that their difficulties were and what I was actually perceiving their differences to be. So most of my students were saying things like, I get nervous when I have conversations, or I need to learn more grammar, vocabulary, all of those normal things. But the real issue I was seeing was like the same 10 to 15 pronunciation issues that without correcting those specific problems, they were not going to continue to make progress. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because usually we students, we get to the teacher or professor and say, okay, I have problems with this. And there is a fixed idea that we know which problems we have with the language. And actually, usually, it's not that at all.
Yeah, it's just like going to therapy. When you see a psychologist, normally you start by saying something like, I have a problem with my partner in my relationship. And then after 6 months of therapy, you recognize like, oh, I was just looking for love and acceptance from my parents, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of the beginning, the origin story. I was teaching a lot of classes. Everyone was saying that they had one problem, but in reality, it seemed to me that they were having pronunciation problems. But there was also the problem that I didn't really know how to teach pronunciation, and not many teachers do because it's very difficult. It's not like grammar or vocabulary where you have rules and books. Pronunciation is physical. You have to learn how to use your tongue, your mouth, your speech organ. So I started studying a lot, different aspects of phonetics, phonology, linguistics. And I just started experimenting with these students. Like, hey, try to produce this sound. Okay, you can't? Try this exercise. Okay, now let's do this 1,000 times. And it started working a lot. And I think you remember this because I started doing the same thing with you.
Yes, because Foster and I, since the beginning, we were trying to speak Portuguese and speak English with each other. It was very organic, like we didn't impose that at all. And at the moment that I started to speak more English with him, he was starting to feel more comfortable correcting me in a way that I wasn't feeling like horrible about my English at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On one hand, Alexia is a wonderful student. She's very open to... I mean, you get frustrated with me all the time, but you were always very open to try new things. And I also had the excuse of like, hey, I'm experimenting with all of these new teaching philosophies. Can you be my guinea pig?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, and once he started to correct me and I really, really realized that, okay, 3 and 3 are 2 different sounds, I was like, oh my God, my world just changed.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very clear to me and to Alexia that we were onto something important. We were teaching in a way that seemed like not a lot of people were doing, but obviously it was not sustainable for me just to run around Rio for 12 hours a day doing this one-on-one. So we decided to do this online. And first, I don't even know if you remember this, Alexia, but I created like 2 weeks of videos with pronunciation lessons.
Of course I do remember that.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about yet. So my idea was to provide different exercises, training pronunciation, and I would give you specific feedback, personalized feedback. And I emailed everyone I know, all of my former students, and I said, I will do this for free. All you have to do is watch the videos, do the exercises. And I think 4 people did it. And like 2 were your family members and 2 were my students. So really no one did it at all. So I said, okay, maybe doing this for free isn't, maybe you need to give people more initiative. So the next crazy idea we had was to do a 30-day challenge. And it was a very simple idea. 30 days, every day I would teach a different pronunciation lesson, and I would just send a video or an audio in an email. And the idea was it's $1 per day. I'm creating these lessons in real time. And if you're interested, come join us.
And it was crazy.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
I think we had perhaps like 30 or 40 people do it.
Yeah, and they were all from the United States, Brazilians in the United States already.
Yeah, they were either people that Alexia knew, your friends and family, or Brazilians living in the United States. Because at the time, this is another very long part of the story, but at the time, we were not able to accept payments in Brazilian reais. We could only accept payments in US dollars. So we could only offer courses to Brazilians living in the US. So we did a 30-day challenge. Most of the students really, really enjoyed it. They learned a lot. More importantly, I learned a lot.
And we could see what was working and what wasn't working as well.
Yeah, in real time. So students were saying like, hey, Foster, day 14, that was amazing. That was super important. It helped me a lot. Day 17, I had no idea what you were talking about. So it was really useful to try to create something more comprehensive and something that could really...
Periquito! Did you see that? Those are periquitos.
Parakeets.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Okay, so the 30-day challenge went well, and we wanted to turn it into a real, full, comprehensive pronunciation course. So we had the idea for the name Sound School.
Which is like sound, school, like escola dos sons, and sound is school.
Yeah, Sound School.
É legal.
Sound School. Parece legal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that was the idea, and initially I just wanted to talk about every sound in English. One day I would talk about it in Portuguese, so I would record a video in Portuguese. The next day I would record essentially the exact same video in English, so people could have like no excuses. They would understand everything, and it took, I don't know, like 6 months to a year to record all of this.
Yeah, and record and plan and do the transcriptions and see if it makes sense. And then the video wasn't that okay, and then we had to record it again.
It was a very long process, a huge learning curve. And then we reached a point where we said, okay, I think this is a really good course. I think this teaches people a lot. Let's try to sell it to people. Hello, and thank you for listening to another episode of Inglesnuecrupodcast. I'm waiting on Alexia to get back from the bathroom. There she is. Alexia is washing her hands like a crazy person because she doesn't want to get coronavirus. Hey Alexia, do you want to give any last words of why people should sign up for Sound School now?
Because it's cool, you have us, and it's the best online English course.
You see how good it is? It is the best online English course, at least that we have ever created. And if anything is true right now with this crazy coronavirus arriving in Porto, where we are right now, you only live once.
That's true. So go ahead and sign up today.